Dear guests, please accept our greetings, take your seats now, and please turn your microphones off. We are, as members of İZMİR Democracy University, ELT Student Club, proudly hosting our 8th online session on Reflective Practices in Teaching and Learning by Associate Professor Dr. EVRİM ÜSTÜNLÜOİDLU from İZMİR University of Economics.
Hello, now we will give you some brief information about the session. My name is ALEYNA ABUŞKA from ELT department in İZMİR Democracy University. The moderator is Dr. NURDAN KAVAKLI, who is also our academic advisor at ELT department. The session is about 20 or 25 minutes long, and the QA sessions will be held by QA managers, me and DİNÇ. You may prefer to write your questions. Don't worry, we'll be checking chat box, or you may use your mics if eligible. And please do not forget that at the end of the session, we will take our family photo. Now we would like to kindly invite Dr. NURDAN KAVAKLI to start of the 8th session. Thank you.
Hello one more time, dear guests. We first try to aim to bring together all researchers, practitioners, pre-service teachers, in-service teachers, and educators with interest in English language teaching. And it seems like we are doing it so well that we are at the brink of our 8th online e-talk. And today we are going to host our very precious guest from İZMİR University of Economics. And she will be with us. The same goes on just like the case of Dilekinan, because we didn't meet in person with her yet, but we just met online. So it's going to be our first meeting too. So please welcome Associate Professor Dr. EVRİM ÜSTÜNLÜOİDLU to give her speech on reflective practices in learning and teaching. Thank you.
Okay, hopefully everybody can hear me well. All right. So thank you very much for the nice introduction, NURDAN. And I think most of the participants are the pre-service teachers. So I mean the teacher of our profession. So I'm so happy to be with you. As a teacher who has been in the field for over 35 years, I am well aware that it is getting more difficult and challenging to be a teacher each passing day in terms of financial, administrative, academic, professional, and even health issues, as we have all experienced now, the challenges in the time of COVID-19 for the last 2 months. Moreover, next generation, I mean Generation Alpha, is coming with their different needs and their expectations. And in the midst of all these challenges, it may not be difficult to assume that many young teachers are giving up at even early years of their teaching. This is not my assumption, actually. This is what the research, what the reports are saying, that nearly 50% of teachers entering the profession leave within the first 5 years. Oh my God. It is so sad and such a big disappointment, but it is true. So as educators and the teachers, I think we should be responsible for this result, because we may have left you in the middle of sinking or swimming situation. Yet, as stated by Fisher, we shouldn't expect you, the new teachers or the pre-service teachers, to sink or swim. We need to hand out flotation devices until your strokes become more confident and your style more definite. So in this webinar, I will talk about one of these flotation devices, which is reflection. I know that there's a time limit of 20 minutes. It will be very general overview on reflection, reflective thinking, reflective teaching and learning, reflective practices, and I will finalize my talk just sharing the results of a case study I conducted together with 2 pre-service ELT teachers' reflections, which I think you will find that very interesting. So If you were in the classroom together, face to face, and if I ask you, okay, what you can tell me about reflection, maybe you will come up with different interesting opinion, like it says self-awareness, it is about thinking, which you're right, really, because if you have a look at the literature review, you will see that reflection is thinking about thinking. It is to tell the difference between an assumption and a fact, and it means to think critically. What I mean, thinking critically, checking your values, your expectations, decisions, judgments, strength, weaknesses, knowledge, and being self-awareness, and it is the way of thinking systematically. Yeah? So if this is reflection, what is reflective thinking then? Reflective thinking, it's a journey. Journey is a metaphor here, and I just listened to Dilek Inan's session, and she talked about the power of metaphor, and it was so interesting and impressive, really. So the journey is used for reflective thinking. It's a metaphor from concrete stereotype thinking to more flexible thinking and to practical survival skills. And it is also, can be said that a cognitive process carried out to learn from experience. But if you ask what I think in person, I can say that the reflective thinking is the amount of the quality time I spend focusing on or discussing what has happened in my classroom, in my teaching. So, I mean, for me, it is the way to separate it from an ordinary thinking to reflective thinking. Okay? So far, so good. So, we talk about reflection, we talk about reflective thinking. So, what is reflective teaching and learning? So, it is simply projecting the way of reflection and the reflective thinking into your teaching and learning. Simply, it is looking at what you do in the classroom. As a learner or as a teacher, doesn't matter. Thinking about why you do it and thinking about whether it works or it doesn't work. It's the process of self-observation and self-evaluation. I mean, it is the ability to look at yourself from the outside. Can you do that? And it is the closing the gap between what you know and what you need to learn. When I describe all the steps, you may think that, come on, we are doing it in our daily life. Is it reflective thinking, really? I didn't know that, you may say, actually. This is something I always do when I get out of my classroom, consciously or unconsciously. I start thinking, oh, my lesson went well today. Or sometimes I say, my students didn't seem to understand the topic. Or sometimes when it is the very one of the tough days, I say, my students were so badly behaved today, feeling very angry. Okay, these are very natural thinking style. But if you follow this opinion, these comments, these statements with questions like, why didn't it go right? Or what is the reason the students behaved badly? Was the lesson a bit easy or difficult? Were the activities boring for them? Or were they irrelevant or unrelated with the objectives? If you find yourself asking these questions, it is wonderful because you seem to have started your reflective practice. So, what is reflective practice? Reflective practice is critical and deliberate inquiry into your professional practice in order to gain a deeper understanding of yourself or your colleague or your students, yeah? It is simply an important tool for not only for you, teachers or inexperienced teachers, but also for us, experienced teachers, because we need to improve our practice. Reflective practice is more than a self-awareness. We stop, we think back after something has happened. The moment we start reflecting upon a situation, we naturally begin to raise questions on how that happened, why it happened that way. Could it be different? So the reflective practice is a kind of shift from ordinary thinking to purposeful thinking. So it becomes a systematic thinking about the learning experiences. So it goes without saying that reflection and the practice, they are always hand in hand because they nurture each other in a different ways in the context of teaching or learning. It doesn't matter. So how can it, happen or take place? Again, yesterday, I listened to the other speaker, Ahmet Bey. He also talked about these terms, reflection on action and the reflection in action. But I don't remember whether he really explained the difference between them. But reflection on action happens when a teacher or you as a learner or pre-service teacher reflect on your lesson and use this information to adjust your learning or your teaching. All right, so this happens after your lesson and you ask questions to yourself. What I need to change next time when I teach this topic? Or what didn't work in my teaching? How can I improve myself? Okay. However, reflection in action happens during teaching and involves acting immediately to improve or better your teaching. Yeah. It's conscious effort to think about an activity or an incident. So reflection in action as a practice, something to think about something while you are doing it. Whether you do reflection in action or reflection on action, it doesn't matter because you improve wonderful skills like problem solving. You will be a teacher very soon because we always experience it in our classes. You never predict what is going to happen in the classroom that day, right? It is full of unexpected incidents, events, situations. So when you reflect, you improve your problem solving. Of course, you improve your self-awareness because you keep asking the question, why? And you use your critical thinking skill because you focus on how and why questions instead of simply what, when, and where. So it is a kind of exploration of questions in that. You become open-minded because the other's perspectives become important. Yeah, you feel in their shoes, students' perspective, colleagues' perspective. So it makes you really be open-minded. And of course, you gather and analyze information. You learn from your experience, which is so wonderful. And you create your own knowledge. So what is the methodology of reflective thinking, reflective practice then? Because, you know, each theory, each approach has its own methodology behind it. And the reflective practice is simply a scientific approach. Why? Because you collect data, you analyze your data, and you make changes accordingly. So this is really scientific steps to follow. So the question, how do you collect your data? There are different ways, like keeping diaries or journals, peer observation. You may record your lesson, or you can conduct action research projects. Let's start with the keeping diaries and the journals very briefly. This is the easiest way to begin a process of reflection because it is purely personal. After each lesson, you write your notes about what happened. And you may also describe your own reactions and the feelings and your observations about this. But don't forget, this is completely different from the journal or the diary when you were a little kid. Oh yeah? I mean, it is not something like, I got up early at 8 o'clock, I had my breakfast and I went to school. No, never. Diary writing in reflective purpose requires a certain discipline in taking the time to do it on a regular basis and asking questions like, have I critically questioned my actions, behaviors, speech? What justifications do I have? Have I been honest and open with myself? Have I learned anything from my experience? Have I identified the new learning I need to put in practice? Or what is exactly that I need to do now? Yeah, when you write your diary, your journal, you need to consider all these responses to these questions. And the peer observation is another way to collect your data. It is just simply invite a close friend or a friend, any friend, or a colleague to come into your class and to collect information about your lesson. Just ask your friend to focus on an area you identified before. For example, you might ask your colleagues or your friend, focus on which students contributed most in the lesson, or what different patterns of interaction appear, and how you, for example, dealt with errors, or how you manage your classroom. Any area you need to work on, okay? So peer observation is also very valuable. And the third one is recording lessons. Actually, Ahmed Bey mentioned about it yesterday as one of the good methodology for this reflection. And I heard, and it was so nice to hear that, really, because recording lesson is a wonderful way if you are a little bit reserved and you are a little bit shy, actually. These recordings can provide you very useful information for reflection. Because why? Even we, I mean, the experienced teachers, do things in classroom we are not aware of. And there may be things happening in the class and we don't normally see it. So if you record your lesson, what you see how much you talked, right? You even don't listen to your students. And you see whether you were on a topic or off topic. Hey, what about the objectives of the lesson? I totally forgot about it because I started talking about something else. So all these recordings tell me, were my instructions and the explanations clear? How much time did I allocate to my students' talk? And how did I respond to student talk? Or you can even see a lot of things about your body language. Where did I stand during the lesson? I was so scared of the students, so I hide behind the desk. Or what about my gestures and the mimes, or how do I speak slowly, very fast, etc. So the recordings tell you a lot of things about your teaching, yeah? And the actual research, it is something that you identify one of your weak or problematic areas, and you start collecting data again, and you analyze your data, and you make changes and the improvements based on your results. All right. Specifically, I pay attention. I mean, the journals is my favorite. Why I love journal collecting data? Because journals bring together your inner and outer parts of your lives. You can generate a lot of questions and the hypothesis when you teach or when you learn. You raise your awareness about the way you teach or you learn. And last but not least, it provides you a first-hand account of your teaching and learning experiences. Now, why I shared this with you, because I am going to share my research I conducted with two ELT pre-service, actually, 21, 22 years old pre-service teachers from ELT department. And our research took 7 months, right? they submitted how it happened actually. One day I was talking about, I found myself speaking about reflection again, and these two students just showed an interest, said, hey teacher, you want to keep our journals? And I said, wow, okay, you're so brave, we are doing it then. And they submitted their journals after their observations in the fall semester, which is like 3.5 months. And after they start teaching practice in the spring term, that's why it was a 7-month, and the results were really striking to me. Hopefully you will find them interesting as well. Then I analyzed the data. I came up with 4 main theme category. The first one is classroom management, discipline issues, including time management, rapport, acceptance by students, management skills, aids and resources. The second theme was about faculty and the practice school, regarding the cooperation, collaboration, and the institutional adjustment. And the third one was about the future profession, what they are thinking about their profession. And the last one was about their individual concerns and beliefs, like lack of experience, confidence, concerns about becoming a good teacher. Now, are you ready to take this journey with me? All right, let's see what they did in the first fall term and what happened in the spring term. So regarding the classroom management category and the theme, you know, this is a fall term. I am not sure whether you started your practice or you started your teaching practice. I have no idea. You might have experienced it or you will experience it, but you will definitely experience it, right? In the fall term, you know, they go to practice school, they get into the classroom, and they go to the right, just sit in the back row of the classroom because they are just observers, right? They are just observing the teacher. And they say that, come on, teacher is very strict, the lesson is boring. If I were her, I would do that. Actually, students are very clever and creative, but the teacher doesn't understand the value of the student. That teacher doesn't use any PowerPoint, no audio tools, no color. Poor students. But now the spring term, they started to take the stage, all right? Even in the 3rd week, see the transformation. They change. Students look disinterested. Hey, come on, what happened to these clever and the creative students? They're just sitting and playing with their mobile phones instead of listening to me. What I see, what I notice, if there is no discipline, no teaching. Oh my gosh, they started to transform into the teacher they criticize. Right? And in the fall term, they thought that there's a kind of gap between their department and the practice school, and they criticize that their faculty is not teaching in a realistic way, because they see that at their teaching practice school, there's no energy, no dynamism, no fun in the classes. They criticize the teacher again. But when they started teaching, in week 5, they said that I wanted to use technology, but it was broken. Oh my God, these students are not listening and not participating in the activities. I spent hours to prepare this material. What is wrong with you students? Dreams and the realities, always different, I think, huh? Right. So regarding actually, I collected huge amount of data because we don't have any time. So I have just selected few of them. Okay, if you're interested, I can share the article with you. In the fall term, they said that there is a problem between my supervisor and the cooperating teacher. There is no communication. I feel like a bridge. And they say that, oh, what I noticed, yeah, the teachers taught us a lot of theories, approaches, but I have no idea about my profession. In the spring term, once they started teaching again, they see the things in a different way. Due to the difficult lesson at faculty, it is difficult for me to adjust to the students' level at practice school. Yeah, I know the theories, but I don't know how to put everything in practice. And they said that what we learn at our department is completely different from reality. Wow. And then regarding future concerns, in the fall term, I didn't see any data related to it. But in the spring term, I think they started spending a lot of time with the teachers in the teachers' room. So they said that, okay, I will start giving private lessons because this profession doesn't bring a lot of money. And the fall term was very interesting because they said that in the fall, is it a natural process that all teachers by time change into this profile, B2? Yes, they did. And they changed too. And they said that I am simply scared. I already feel like lost in this game. So it was so striking to see these results really, but we spent 7 months together. Remember what I told you at the beginning of my talk? Reflection is one of the flotation devices, but they became aware of their beliefs and the misbeliefs. They were aware of their assumptions, knowledge, capacity, skills, and they learned somehow to reflect on their experiences and to swim, all right? So reflection is a cyclical process. Please never forget to ask questions. And in conclusion, please, maybe you can start from self-reflection, okay? Be reflective, learn better, and teach better. Okay, I think, how many minutes do we have?
We have minutes, but it's for QA session.
Okay, all right, so I am done. I just ran, Nurdan, just ran.
Thank you very much. I hope we can meet in person so that we can take you as a keynote speaker maybe, or guest
whenever
to listen to you more than this, okay? Thank you very much for this very fruitful speech. It is a really nice pleasure to be listening to you. It is something like listening to a story, so I really like the way you give your speech on reflection, and it's using both learning and teaching. So I'm going to give the mic to my dear students so that we can take a family photo and then take QA session. Thank you very much one more time.
Thank you. Could you please open your camera so that we can have a photo?
Shall I stop share?
Yes.
That is what I learned yesterday, Nurdan.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
Let me take it. So take your arrangements and smile. I'm taking the photo. And one more time, please wait. Okay. Okay, done. Thank you.
Dear participants, thank you very much for your attention. Now it is time for the QA session. Shoot your questions or recommendations if you have any. You can ask your questions in Turkish as well.
So we still have time so that we can have 1 or 2 questions. Okay, we have.
Yeah, we have some questions. Let me read them. This one comes from Rumeysa. Dear Professor, I like metaphor for growth situation. How can we activate reflective thinking with it?
I missed the metaphor. Can you repeat it?
For growth situation.
Yeah, I mean, you can, reflective thinking is a way that you can find your own metaphor really. I mean, the journey really appealed to me because I have been reading a lot of articles about reflection. So I thought the journey is the best metaphor for me. You can choose your own metaphor. It doesn't matter because everybody, after reading your article and your research, base your need and your expectations, okay?
And there's another question. This one comes from Mr. Farhad. Do you think A self-help course will help novice teachers to build the gap between theory and practice.
Definitely. I say definitely because we have been running self-help courses at İZMİR University of Economics for many years. And I know that it is full of practice, a lot of modules and the micro teaching in it, and based on a lot of feedback. And also they record their lessons. What I told you about this recording, peer observation, everything in it, all right? So if you are brave enough to face all this feedback, CELTA is the right address for you.
And also we have a comment from dear Professor Dilek İnan. She says, thank you EVRİM hocam, very helpful and enjoyable.
Thanks, Dilek. Yes, I just read that CELTA is a kind of gateway to professional development. Definitely, I agree with you, because you have a lot to do regarding the professional development, a lot. Hopefully we can come face to face and share experiences about it someday, sometime. And I agree what you say, it's a gateway.
So maybe one more question. We have minutes left.
And for the last but not the least, it comes from Elif Demirel. We have entered a new era of online teaching. How do you think we can reflect on these new practices?
Actually, you know, there is always an opportunity in whatever you are doing. If you see the ways, the things as an opportunity, I mean, opportunity is now here instead of opportunity is nowhere. This is how you see it. I mean, look at the things. Really, there's a wonderful opportunity for reflection. Again, you can just record your lessons and just watch it. You will see what I mean, because I have been doing it since we started online lessons. And I think that, oh, it was a wonderful lesson. I did great again. How great teacher I am. But after I started watching my recording, I started hating myself. Come on, the pace of, I mean, the speaking, the tone of my voice, my mimes, gestures. I mean, let alone the content, forget about the objectives. Even watching myself was an interesting experience, really. There's an opportunity. See the things in that way.
Okay, it's going to be closed down, so I'm closing the session. Thank you one more time for joining us and sharing our excitement today. Our special thanks go to Associate Professor Dr. EVRİM ÜSTÜNLÜOÐLU, and I would like to kindly thank you from my heart for helping my needs analysis study, by the way. And
thank you. Is that you, ALEYNA? Yes, your name. Good. Good. Okay.
I hope to see you again. Please follow us on Instagram, EduELT, for the updates. Bye for now.
Okay. Good luck to everybody. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.